All right. So we're here with Jamie Johnson. She's a productivity coach over at Keller Williams and an amazing agent. She is my mentor. She taught me everything that I know. So Jamie, I guess just kind of tell the people who are going to be listening to this episode the where you started, where you came from, and just your journey of your life to right now.
I've been in real estate since March of 2012. And prior to that, I worked for an architect firm for 6.5 years. I have 2 degrees in architectural engineering and in drafting. And I got
Beast.
tired of sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
And the at the time, the architectural, that's when it stopped being that people didn't want specific plans drawn anymore. They were picking stuff out of a book.
Okay.
And so we really didn't have a lot of business going on at the architect firm, and it was getting slow. And the architect that I worked for, he actually had cancer, esophageal cancer.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was kind of getting to a point where he couldn't do as much business. And my favorite part was going out into the field and seeing my drawings come to life, right? And so at that point, I was waiting tables at night. Prior to becoming working for an architect firm. I worked in the restaurant business for 19 plus years, several different restaurants across New Orleans. And I was waiting tables at night and working at the architect firm during the day. And then Katrina hit.
Yeah.
And we all got displaced. And so then the architect firm I was working for, we started working out of his house in Covington instead of Metairie.
Okay.
And then that's when I moved from Chalmette to Ponchatoula. And so it was this whole, everything was changing at that time. And so when I stopped working for him, I was waiting tables at night, and my sponsor came in, sat down at my table. And when I went to go and wait on her, because she asked for me, we've been friends since high school. She was like, "You want to buy a house?" And I was like, "I already have a house." She said, "You want to buy another one?" And I was like, "No, I don't need another one." And she's like, "You want to sell houses?" And I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what drink do you want?
Right.
Let me get your order." And then after talking with her through that hour and a half that she sat at the table, I was like, that could be an idea, right?
Maybe that is for me.
Maybe that is for me. And I've besides food, I've never really sold anything. I was never in sales. And so I said, okay, well, what can I do and use the degrees that I have? Because I had 2 degrees at that point. And it's like, just go in a different direction. And I had interviewed with other architect firms, but I was like, do I really want to do this again?
So you're in a period where it was like, do I want to start something new? Is this really what I want to do with the rest of my life?
Right. And
can I do anything else?
9 to 5, Monday through Friday, all the things. And so I ended up doing the 30-day course, Donaldson, online. Stupid me did that in the month of February, knowing that it was Mardi Gras.
Oh, wow.
I did the 30-day course. I finished it in 2 weeks, took the other 2 weeks to take that practice exam over and over and over and over again, again and again and again and again. And then I scheduled to take the test the Friday after Mardi Gras. Why? Right? Stupid idea, but it was the only thing that they had available.
Yeah.
And I passed one and I failed the other by one question.
Wow.
I missed it by one question. I actually passed the harder of the two and failed the easier of the two. And it was a national and state, as
Right.
you know. So I went in the parking lot and I cried my eyes out.
Hmm.
And I wrote down every single question that I thought I could have gotten wrong at the time. And then I went and looked up the correct answers, studied again, went back the following week and passed.
Well, those tests are so they're not easy, and there's
No,
and the environment that they put you in is stressful because they have cameras and they put your stuff in that zip
all the
up
things,
bag.
and you have to put your stuff in a locker. It's like Fort Knox,
Right,
right?
right.
So, but I mean, I have 2 degrees,
Yeah,
2 college degrees, and that was the hardest test that I've ever taken.
yeah. Well, it's all situational based, I mean,
It's
two
so
answers
hard.
could be correct, but one is just a little bit more correct, and you have to choose that one.
Right.
Because I did the same thing. I passed the national and failed the state because everyone was like, "Well, you had to basically memorize 400 something pages for the national, and the state wasn't as much." So it's like, that's what I did. I just studied mainly for the national because I was like, if I have to come back take the
Right.
state, at least I don't have to study that much. But I failed state.
Yeah. And, the 4 questions that if you're answering the state, it's a different answer than
Yes.
if you're asking for national,
Right.
So, like, it's the same questions, but your answer is going to be different depending on which test you're taking. So, you have to remember, because Louisiana is the oddball and we have our own rules, right? So it's like, on top of knowing the answer, you have to know 2 different answers for the
Right.
same question. So it was difficult. But from then on, I joined the Mandeville office to start. I started there because that's where my sponsor was, and they had a satellite office in Hammond,
Yeah.
and I live in Ponchatoula, so it was just natural for me to go there first.
For those that don't know, a sponsor is someone who brings you on to Keller Williams, and then they get a profit share monthly from the production that the people that they bring in
Right.
will
So,
cherry on top.
yeah. And so I guess the misunderstanding is that your sponsor is supposed to be the one to help you to learn
Yeah.
and to teach you and guide you. And that is not the case,
Right.
So your sponsor can actually be somebody from a Keller Williams in another state somewhere.
Right.
It doesn't have to be somebody that you are working side by side with.
Yeah.
Um, so I was a single agent, and a solo agent, and I was waiting tables while I was doing this,
Yeah.
first starting. So from March until September of 2012, I was doing both,
Yeah.
and I was juggling, right? Whereas most agents, that's what they do. They work 2 jobs because you're not making money to start right away.
Right.
So it's not like you can use this as a main source of income.
Right. The
Um,
biggest hustler in the world probably won't start making money until at least 3 months in the industry. So
oh, at
yeah.
least, at the
So
very
yeah.
least.
So you have to
And
have some savings and residuals there.
right. And so um I was like, I was waiting tables, and I would be like, I would serve drinks, and then I would run in the back, and I would like schedule appointments, and then I would go back and serve food, and then I would run in the back and I would schedule more appointments or answer phone calls or return texts. And so I was like literally
Yeah.
juggling
Yeah.
both, and um after the 8 months or so, in September, I got the offer to be on a team. And for those of people that don't know, you can be like strictly a buyer's agent or strictly a listing agent on a team where they give you leads and you work those leads and you bring in that. So that team worked out of the West Bank
And you
office.
give up 50% of your commission to work on that team.
Yes. So either 50 or 40, depending on, your experience, I guess, and the
Right.
team. But they were working out of Baton Rouge and the West Bank. And at the time, it was, a new thing for you to be an expansion team to work out of 2 different offices.
Okay.
So I joined the team as a buyer's agent. and I started working with them out of the West Bank office. And so I transferred over there, and things went very well. That's when I started getting my business up and running. So from March until September, I did some leases here
Okay.
and there, a couple $100, paid some bills, that kind of thing. Um, my very first sale that I did was actually a sign call lead to the office. And the
Okay.
team leader said, "Hey, I have this lead. Do you want to do it?"
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being like 495,000 for my first sale,
Very
which is
nice. Heck yeah.
wild,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Like that's crazy that my first sale was that high. Um, but it was a eye-opening experience because we went for the final walkthrough, and that was my very first taste of, uh-oh, things aren't all peachy, right? So we went for the final walkthrough, and the shower glass door was completely shattered.
Ooh.
And it wasn't like on the ground shattered, it just looked like a huge spider web.
Okay.
So, like, if you touched it,
It was
it
gonna.
was gonna go,
Yep. Yep.
right? But we had asked, it was a separate tub and shower, and the tub had a window. And we had asked for that window to be replaced because the window had like the fog.
Yep.
And I guess whoever replaced the window must have hit the shower that was right
With some
next to
tool or
it.
something. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, so I was calling up the listing agent and we were freaking out, but it all worked out. They scheduled to have it installed. They called to have it installed. They paid for it ahead of time and stuff. But it was my very first deal.
Right.
So I was panicking,
Yeah.
right? Um, so after that, that's when I joined the team, transferred to the West Bank office. Um, and then from there, I stayed on that team for 2 years. That whole team transferred to the New Orleans office. So I transferred with them, but I only stayed there for 2 weeks. I got an offer from another team that was actually working out of this office.
Okay.
And so they were offering me a better deal at a 60-40 split
Mm-hmm.
instead of a 50-50 split. And so I joined that team and transferred to this office, worked for them for another 2 years, and I've been on a solo agent ever since. But when I transferred and joined the first team on the West Bank office, I got 3 under contract fairly quickly. And that's when I was like, all right, so I'm quitting my job.
Right.
And I was like, I made sure that I had 3 months of bills in my account.
Yeah.
And I said, sink or swim, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? Because it, as you know, service industry, if you always have like that, oh, well, I can just pick up a shift and make an extra $100 or an extra $200 and I can just pay for this bill. And if I don't do it, you'll never get away from it because it's a crutch.
Yep.
You can always lean on it.
Easy money.
It's easy money. And I said, all right, I have enough to pay my bills for 3 months. That means I have 1 month because what you do in real estate, what they say, what you do now shows up 90 days from now, right?
Yes.
So I gave myself 90 days
Mm-hmm.
to get a sale.
Yeah.
And then I quit my job and I have never looked back since.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing that I ever did.
Yeah.
I struggled for a little bit. Like I had it, like my business did this, right? Like I have all of these sales and now I have nothing. And then, but starting being on the team helped because it did give me the leads, but now here we are, 13 years later. All of my business now is either repeats
Yep.
from those that I sold way back then that are now selling their house, friends, family, sphere, referrals from those people. And so I don't have to cold call and try and get business from other places,
Yep. Yep.
but it's a big difference like going from being able to get money every week, like having that money every week, and then managing your money
Very difficult to budget when you don't know what's coming in.
budget, right? So, like, yeah, I have this sale. Could I pay off this whole credit card right now? Like, I could pay off my entire Jeep right now. But if I do that, will I have money to pay my other bills? Because I don't know if this sale is actually going to go through.
Right.
Because just because you have a contract doesn't mean it's going to go through, right?
Nope.
So you have to like make sure that you have enough money to stretch.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it was quite a change.
I learned the hard way that it's a lot easier to budget when you set the goals that you have. So if you set goals and you hold yourself accountable to reach those goals, then you can kind of chip away at it. And if you don't hit your goals for that day or that week, like you don't leave or don't go home until that's hit. And if you do it that way, then it's easier to budget because you know you're hitting those goals to get there.
Right.
Um, but that's really the only way to budget in this industry or any commission based industry because you don't know when your next sale is going to be, when your next check's going to clear. And it's kind of like living from shift to shift in the restaurant, except just with bigger tips,
Right.
much bigger tips.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because, at the restaurant, you can, it's like, oh, well, I need an extra $100. So I'm just going to pick up this shift.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to pick up on a Saturday
Yeah.
night and I know I'll make 200, 300
Right.
easy,
Right.
depending on where you're working, obviously.
Right.
Um, but yeah, you really have to know how to budget your money for sure in this business because it's not, and you might not have anything and then somebody calls out of the blue and says, I want to sell my house.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like, they weren't even on a radar
No.
or
Or at a
even a
social
buyer.
event too. The social event, you're just out talking like, hey, I'm just
Right,
here to have some fun. Someone knows I'm a realtor, walks up to me and has a conversation like, hey, so, we are in this situation, we've been pretty consistent. We're ready to start looking for a house. And it's like, there you go. Fell
right,
right into my lap.
right.
And
Into your lab. And you weren't even expecting it. It wasn't somebody that you've been nurturing or trying to
right.
call or anything. They just came out of nowhere.
Right.
So it's like, it's not just a lull where you don't have money, but you could have like two or three people call you all at one time
Yeah.
within a week.
Right.
And that's the way this business is.
Right.
And you really just don't know.
In 2018, I did the hustle, 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 hustle burnout thing, right?
Hmm.
But then it was in 2019 and 2020 when I started to realize, okay, things get busy in the summer, right? So I don't need to stress in January, February when I don't have as much business because everybody kind of floods in the summer.
Hmm.
So even though today may be a dark day and I have nothing going on and what am I going to do? The very next week, it's just as easy for five people to get in touch with you and you'd be like, oh my God, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off now. I don't,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's two extremes can easily happen in this business.
Yep. And then it's like, oh, I'm on a high. I'm gonna pay off all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna get rid of all of this stuff. And then it's like for 2 months, you're like, uh-oh, now I have nothing.
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
For sure.
When I first started this business, my son was young. Um, and it was good for me to be like he was uh now he's 30, but when I was waiting tables I like to be able to go on field trips and whatnot, and I liked the uh I can give up a shift,
Yeah.
or I can pick up a shift when I want to, kind of thing, and I like the flexibility of it. And when I was working at the architect firm, you didn't have that.
No.
Like you had to put in a request to take off. I couldn't just go on vacation whenever I wanted,
Right.
that kind of thing. Um, so this brought me, real estate brought me back to that flexibility, which I really liked.
Yeah. You're your own boss. You create your own schedule. Now,
Right.
at the same time, you are on other people's schedules quite often. But at the same time, you just need to time block that, time
Yeah.
block that and you can do whatever.
Yeah, like the other night I had showings an hour away and at 5:30 because she worked until 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get home until 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And but I mean,
Be that way.
sometimes It is that
be
way.
that way
It
sometimes.
is.
Hmm.
Yep.
So, as a productivity coach, what is one habit that you recommend all new agents implement first and foremost when they first get licensed and are starting the foundation of their business?
Time block. Time block for sure, because those agents are typically dual career. They have another job. And the only way that you're going to be able to leave that other job is by time blocking time for you to spend on real estate and focus on real estate.
Yep.
Um, because if you get caught up in your other job and you're just doing that again and again, and then the day gets away from you, and then you're not focused on, putting yourself out there. I always say don't be a secret agent, right? Because you expect people to know that you're an agent just because you posted it on Facebook,
Yeah.
but that's not the case.
Yeah, you're the
Because
person that just went through all the hardships of studying, passing the exams, and whatever, however long it took you to do that, and you feel very accomplished, and you feel like, okay, I'm ready to take on the world. But no, not everyone else knows that you just did all those things.
right, because the algorithms, right? So like on Facebook, you can post something and only like the same 25 people or whatever see it, unless other people start commenting, and then it shows up on those friends of friends pages and whatnot. And that's what, it almost goes viral, so to speak. But unless that happens, other people aren't going to see your post,
Right.
and what about the people that aren't on Facebook? What about the people like the older crowd that don't do Facebook, or they're not very social? How are they supposed to know? Right. And you did all of this for a reason.
Yep.
You went through all that studying and paying the fees and doing all the stuff for a reason. Like, why did you do that to begin with? What's your big why?
Right.
Like, what's the end goal?
Elaborate on that a little bit. What is a big why?
Your big why is why you want to do this, right? So it's like, well, I want to do this to make money. Okay, why do you need to make money? Well, I need to pay bills. You're paying bills. Why? Right? Like, it's one of those, if you had all of the money that you could possibly have, what would you do with it
Yeah.
at that point? If all your bills are paid, your kids are taken care of, your house is paid for, your car's paid for, what would you do with the extra money? And at that point, there's a bold law that money doesn't change you, it only amplifies the person that you already are, right? So the money at that point will only show your true colors,
Yeah.
right? So, like, are you a humble person? Because you will still be humble even with all of that money,
Right.
right? Are you a giving person? At that point, all of that money, you will give even more because you have that money. If you're selfish, it's going to show how selfish you are, right? So like it'll only amplify the person that you are. And I mean, your big why is like the max. Like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What is my, I don't know, I have this thing where I'm always like, there's got to be something more for me.
Yeah.
Like, there's always
It's kind of
like,
like a yearning, kind of like a little piece of yourself that's just always absent. It's like there should be something else to
yeah,
fit here, right?
yeah. Like, I'm like, am I really like doing everything that God intended for me to do right now?
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like I'm destined to do something bigger, something more with my life, to where I'm going to affect more people, not just myself and my clients. Like, I'd like almost like, people come up with an idea or some sort of um like, I'm going to get this patent to do something. Like, you come up with some kind of idea that nobody's ever come up with before. Like, there's something, you're destined for greater things,
Yeah.
like not just what I'm doing, and I guess that's why all of the, I mean, you've been with me through it all. Like, I became the productivity coach about, what was that? I'm doing this 8 years now, going on 8 years now,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm training and helping all the new agents come get into production. I want to make sure that they have the support system that I don't want to say I didn't have when I first started, but I didn't have one particular person.
Right.
Like it was more like I would ask all kinds of agents in the office, like knock on their door. Hey, can you show me this? Can you help me with this? Like I want to be that person
Right.
that I didn't
Well,
have.
you are that person.
I am that person now, right? And right now there's 51 agents in coaching
Wow.
that I'm helping right now at any given moment. And so that was like the stepping stone where I'm like, okay, I'm doing something more, right? I need to do more. And then 2 years ago, I got my broker's license.
Yeah.
And then I
God, it's been
became,
2 years already.
it's been 2 years. Yeah. 2023, December 2023.
Wow.
Um, so,
I feel like that was just yesterday you were studying
right?
to do that.
Right. And so I, got the broker's license and I was like, okay, I need to do more. So then I became a qualifying broker from Mississippi. So now we are licensed in Mississippi. I'm the broker from Mississippi here. So it was like, and now I feel like I need to do more.
I
It's
mean, are all,
like,
that's what I was going to ask. Like, are all these added responsibilities that these achievements that have added extra responsibilities on your plate, are those filling that void, or is it just making you yearn for something else?
no, it's almost like it satisfies it for a couple of years. And then I'm like, okay,
Done it.
what else can I do?
Right.
And so then I'm starting to think, okay, like all of these where you can get certifications in
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
so now I'm looking into like, can I be certified in any like what else can I be? What else can I do?
Yeah.
To not not just for myself, but like how can I help myself so that I can help other people?
Right.
Like if I get certified in VA is something that I was looking at for
Mm-hmm.
VA and whatnot. And then I'm like, well, that means that I could help more VA, all of the
Veterans. Yeah.
veterans and, be able to do that and know more, like more knowledge. And I want to learn more so that way I can help other people
Right.
with the knowledge that I know. And the more that I know, I can help the other agents here, and pass that along. So, I mean, I pay for things that I don't even use it for myself.
Right.
I give it to the other
I
agents
know.
because if they win, I win.
That's the beautiful part about our office is that everyone is relatively helpful for the most part. Everyone is not willing or is willing to kind of go out of their way to sit down with somebody and help them iron something out. And I've talked to agents at other companies too, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's nothing like where I work. Everybody keeps
Yeah.
to themselves, and we have a good culture here and a good family vibe here."
Yeah, I agree. Anybody that has an actual office in here, if you knocked on their door and said, "Hey, can I ask you something?" or "Hey, can you help me with something?" they will absolutely help you.
Yes.
They might, if they're busy, they'll say, "Can you give me a minute?" or what have you, but they will help you
Yeah.
here, and that's, I'm only in the office a couple of days a week because I live in Ponchatoula, but the days that I'm here, I try and like schedule all of my appointments. Like if you need me, I will be here on these days,
Yeah.
or I'll do Zoom calls or what have you, whatever I need to do,
Yeah.
and I guess that's why I never left.
Right.
I've worked at 4 different market centers, all KW,
Hmm.
but just because they're KW doesn't mean that they're the same.
And they are not the same.
They are not. And the vibes are different everywhere you go.
There is no brokerage where I feel universally across the spectrum they are all equal.
No,
Every brokerage, despite whatever big name might be on that company, is different from another.
agreed. And the you have to find, and just because, we love it here doesn't mean that somebody else might. They might be looking for something different.
Right.
And just because, it's a different vibe, you might not, you might want to be somewhere else because you are looking for something different. And that's okay.
Yeah, but the grass may not be greener
No,
because I did that. I left
that's right.
for what, 4 or 6 months, something like that, and I was just like, this is
Not what
not
I
what I
thought it was going
wanted,
to
and
be.
I came back.
You just have to find your place.
Yep.
And I mean, I live 45 minutes away. I could easily work for another company that's right around the corner from my house.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I stayed here.
You just
I
love driving your Jeep pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Jeep
it.
life.
Jeep life. Speaking of, we both have Jeeps. In case
Yes.
anybody doesn't know, we are Jeep drivers. And
Yes.
that's a whole nother vibe right there. Like,
We're in the cult.
we are in the cult. My son says it's a cult. I said it's not a cult. He's like, y'all have a wave, y'all have all of these extra things, these clubs. It's a cult.
We get ducks. Hey,
Ducks.
that's when I got my first duck, just walking back to my car, and it's just the cutest thing ever. She's like, "Oh, I got a little duck.
Yeah,
Awesome."
and now you give them all to Zoe.
Yeah, I give them all to Zoe. Yeah, my daughter gets all the little ducks to play with in the bathtub.
Yeah.
She's excited when I bring home another one.
On the other hand, my entire dashboard is filled with ducks, and I have a
Most people's
box
are.
of ducks in the back seat that I
Yep.
give out to other people.
Yeah.
But that my Jeep has like actually become almost my identity now. Like everybody, I'll get text messages. Did I just see you on the causeway? And I'm like, no, that's not me. And they're like, a green Jeep just like
Well, it's
yours.
a big old lime green Jeep.
Right.
So I mean, yeah.
But that's what I'm known for now, like green Jeep. You drive the green Jeep. I'm like, oh, if I ever get another vehicle, I don't know what people are going to know me for.
Well, most of the time your clothes complement your Jeep too.
That's true. I wear a
Okay,
lot
so,
of
like,
green. I do have on green today, but not bright green.
Right.
But yeah, like that's what I'm known for. So funny, we were in Bold and they doing a new thing where it said ask Gemini or
Yeah.
Chat GPT or whatever. Say, this is what I'm known for. Give me a tagline for my business.
Okay.
Right? So I put red curly hair, bright green Jeep named Envy, and real estate, right? And one of the things that they came out with, I really like it and I might use it. It's called Your House Wrangler.
Oh.
Wrangler,
Oh.
Jeep, Wrangler.
That's pretty clever.
Wrangler. It is pretty clever. I
Mhm.
thought that was really cool. And then I was like, if I ever get another car and it's not a Jeep, then it's
Then you can come up with a different little catchphrase.
So either that or I was going to add your ginger house wrangler. Ginger, my hair, I'm a ginger.
Okay. That's interesting. I like the first one better.
You like the first one better?
Mhm. I feel like Ginger House Wrangler almost like niches you too much.
Yeah.
House Wrangler is more broad. You can reach more people with a House
Yeah.
Wrangler.
There's a lot of us realtors that have Jeeps. I'm just saying.
They're fun to drive. Plus, in New Orleans, all the damn potholes. Like, just
Right?
might as well have something that can climb
And
a
Jody's
mountain.
got the bright yellow one downstairs. Yours is black,
Yeah,
but you have like all of that extra stuff.
it came with it.
Mine came like mine too, with the 4-inch lift kit and all of that stuff already on it. But yeah.
Let's circle back to time blocking because people that don't know about time blocking, that's something that it gets you so organized. And, if you're laying in bed on a Sunday, instead of doom scrolling, open up your calendar and start blocking out your time for the week. And if you're a dual career, block out all the shifts that you have, all of them. And then that will show you all the available time you have to dedicate towards.
Right. And you
Your
have to
career.
be very purposeful during those hour, 2 hours, or whatever you're going to have during that day to focus on real estate. You have to be very purposeful and have everything laid out. Like, what am I going to do in these 2 hours?
Right.
Not just say, oh, I'm going to focus on real estate and not have a plan.
Right.
You have to have a plan.
Well, because you can time block 2 hours, but it takes you 30 minutes to get everything prepared to do what you're going to do for those 2 hours.
Exactly.
So you need to
And
have that all set up and ready to roll.
everything should be set up at least the night before. So whatever you're going to do the next day should be set up the night before. Like, here's the list of the people that I'm going to call, or here's the list of the people that I'm going to send a text to, a message, or whatever, or
Right.
the people that I'm going to reach out to, or I'm going to write these note cards, or I'm going to send out these mailings to all of my neighborhood, or whatever it is that you're going to do. You should have a plan the night before, so that way you're not taking up part of your 2 hours coming up with that
Yep.
list because by then your time is gone,
Yep.
you know?
And
So,
it's so easy to get lost in doing that too, because then you're like, oh, I need to do this, 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 and this, and then you realize that you've already lost an hour, and you're
yep,
like, oh wow, no, I don't have an hour, and then and that little voice in the back of your mind is like, oh, just push it off till tomorrow, and
yep,
then tomorrow becomes the next day, and then the
yep.
next day.
And the next day. And then you don't ever get it done.
Yep.
It's like this tunnel vision,
Yep.
you know, and knock it out first thing in the morning, get it done.
Yep. Chip away at all the little things, because in building the foundation of your business, whether it's real estate or anything, like unless you build all of the platforms and your identity across all the interwebs and everything before you start growing the business, and that takes a long time just in and of itself. Getting that
Your
identity established.
systems,
Yeah.
getting systems in place because what works for you might not work for me
Right.
and vice versa, you know? So like everybody has their own way of doing things, but nobody in this business, if you're very used to working a 9 to 5 and somebody telling you what to do for that day, it's going to be a complete change because at this point you are your own boss.
Right.
Ain't nobody telling you what to do. You will be successful or fail according to your own self.
Right.
You know, and so if you need somebody to hold you accountable, that's why you have a coach. That's why you have somebody that's going to be like, okay, you said you were going to talk to this many people, or you said you were going to have a contract by this time. What's happening? You know, but it's you have to put your own systems in place because like some people like to have those handwritten calendar book things. I am not a book
I'm not
person.
either.
Everything has to be electronically done. Like everything is on my phone, everything is on my computer. I don't do the handwriting calendar stuff, but other people that works for them. You
Yeah.
know, so you have to have systems in place that's going to help you succeed. And
Well, what systems would you recommend for somebody? Like what do you implement that you did not have before that you're like, wow, this system makes my life exponentially easier?
well, I always use the Gmail calendar, the Google Calendar.
Hmm.
That's first and foremost. I also do. I have other things as far as for testimonials. Instead of asking for testimonials on all of these different sites individually, I pay Real Satisfied, and I do Real Satisfied, and they do one testimonial and it forwards it to all of these, so it makes life simpler,
Yeah.
you know, like a one-stop shop. um Miles, to keep track of my mileage, I use Mile IQ, you know, and so you swipe left or swipe right depending on personal business, you know, and so at the end of the year when it's time to file your taxes, you already have all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You're not
Because they don't
screwing.
take our taxes out.
No,
We gotta be on that,
no,
which
and
I am behind on right now.
same, same.
You know, it's crazy when you're working commission based industry, and you have a spouse, and then your spouse loses their job or gets furloughed or something, and then it's like, okay, all that extra money that I was putting away for taxes now needs to be used for family. And it's very difficult since everything is raised, the cost of everything is growing and growing and growing. It's just very difficult to be able to set it aside unless you're making, like, I think I saw a graphic the other day. It was like the comfortable living in Louisiana, like $190,000 salary for comfortable living.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
And Mississippi was 178,000, and that was the lowest of the country.
Really? Because Mississippi is so much cheaper.
It is.
Like they yesterday, I was actually looking for somebody that was looking in Bay St. Louis for a waterfront piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
$3,500. Waterfront land, $3,500 for a lot.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right? There's no way you could buy a waterfront piece of property here in South Louisiana
I'm
for
about to go buy a
$3,500.
waterfront piece of property in Mississippi and
Right?
just have it.
Right? Exactly. Crazy, right?
Wow.
So I'm shocked that it would be that high for Mississippi because you can buy a completely renovated house on the Gulf Coast for 150,000.
Well, you know, I guess don't believe everything you see on the internet.
But I mean, who knows? That's just that the Gulf coast part. The rest of Mississippi could be way different,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But and that's like us too. You know, our area, some areas are way cheaper than other areas. Same. So I guess they just take it as a whole.
Well, I think it's crazy that New Orleans, like everyone knows where New Orleans is. Everyone knows New Orleans. But at the same time, the value of our homes is exponentially less than the rest of the country. I've never understood that. I never have. You'll see
Right.
a rundown place in San Francisco that needs to be a complete renovation that's not huge and it's like
A
$1 million.
million, right?
And here
Yeah.
here you'll get that for like 100,000, or
Right.
less.
Yeah, unless you're in the French Quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. But still, even in the French
Quarter could be
Quarter.
falling down and it's still going to be worth a
Yeah,
lot
just
of
because you're in the
money
middle of it. Yeah.
because you're in the middle of the quarter,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, going back to uh, what they need, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they need to know the market too, because going to people's open houses, going to broker tours, looking at houses. And because that's what I did when I first started, I went to every single broker tour, every open house that I could find, because it taught me how much you have to pay to get what
Yeah.
in certain areas, right? Knowing what houses are worth what in what areas and what condition. And it also taught me what to look for certain types of loan approvals. Like, what am I looking for as far as FHA, VA, RD? Those require the house to be in better condition. So when you start looking at all of these houses, you start learning, okay, this one wouldn't pass FHA because of this or that kind of thing. So for new agents, it's important to time block not only to lead generate, but to start teaching yourself about the market and learning whatever area you think you're going to be working in. You should start visiting those houses.
Yeah.
And people now, the agents, they're doing reels and things like that on vacant houses and posting videos, when back in the day when I first started they didn't have that.
Yeah.
But knowing the market is huge.
When I first started, I was sending myself auto emails per neighborhood.
I still do that.
Yeah. So I know all the new listings that are coming up, and you can see where the shifting in pricing is
The
going.
trends.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's also something that helped me when I first got started, was doing something like that. Just always knowing the market, like you said, going on the broker tours, going on to the open houses, because there's 8,000 ways to run an open house, and you can see the best one that would work for you.
You have a serious plan for open houses. Like your open houses are money.
Yeah, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Well, yeah, it pays off in the end.
I mean, because I was doing open houses when I first started. I'm sitting in there for 3 hours in an open house, and not one person comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I swore them off. I'm like, what? This is not a good utilization of my time doing this. So I didn't do open houses for a while. And I told my clients, it doesn't work. I'm not doing an open house here because I don't think you want me standing in your house for 3 hours by myself and then giving you a bad report telling you people aren't coming. If someone is interested in your house, they'll sit on the internet and they'll come in, right? So, but now the way that I do it is a lot of groundwork, a lot of calls, a lot of promotion, a lot of planning, yes, a lot of research, and really just it's all about getting the neighbors invested in the house that you're selling and creating, and it just compounds with creating the relationship with the neighbors as well. So that's kind of the whole focus of it.
Make it a party.
Make it a party. Everybody loves a good party.
We're throwing a party.
I'm not having an open house. I'm having a party.
Having a party.
Yep.
Come, bring it.
Yes. Another good piece of advice is no matter what industry you're in, if you're in real estate, if you're in architect or whatever, find the people that are the best at in that field,
and
in your
associate
office,
yourself with those people.
and take them to lunch too.
Yeah.
Like take them to lunch. Like have a sit down with them, pick their brain, ask them questions about what they've learned so that hopefully you don't have to take that to your trial and error. It's like learn from the people that have been successful in doing it, pick their brain so that you can implement those same systems that they use, and hopefully get to a bit of a speed walk instead of a walk.
Sit at the table with the people that you want to be like.
Yeah.
There's I forgot the who said it, but there's a saying that says you are the average of the top 5 people that you associate yourself
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
So if you associate yourself with the people that are highly successful, with the people not just in your industry, but like people that are just successful in general, you will start to have different ways of thinking. Your thought process will be different. You'll start thinking differently. You'll start thinking higher, right? Better. I want to be better.
Hmm.
Like if that person can be the president of this whole entire college over here, and then I know that I can be somebody in my industry too,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you associate your people. So if you ever like I unfollow people on Facebook that are always negative.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same way with positivity, you know. So if you associate yourself with people that are positive, you will start to think positive thoughts. If you associate yourself with people that are thinking negative all the time, then you are going to be Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. So if you start to like my favorite, I keep mentioning bold laws, but I live my life by some of these bold laws. No lie. And so if y'all don't know, Keller Williams has bold laws, and it's they have, I don't even know how many they
I don't
are.
either.
There are more now. Um, but one of the things is change the way you look at things, and the things that you look at change,
Yeah.
right? And so if you focus on negative, you'll always have negative. So I use the example all the time. You're sitting in traffic, right? And you're PO'd
Yeah.
because you're late wherever you need to go, and you're at a standstill and you're in traffic. And then as you get closer, you see that it's because somebody got into a really bad car accident. And that person is just being carted off into an ambulance, right? Change the way you're looking at things. That could have been you.
Right.
If you would have left your house or wherever you're coming from, let's just say 10 minutes earlier, that could have been you. Be thankful that you're sitting in that traffic
That's right.
and not being carted off into an ambulance,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Because accidents happen. And so, like, if you start changing your thinking and the way that you think, your life just gets better.
It does.
Your whole persona, everything, you just become less stressed, calm, like it's just a different you live your life a different way. And I've noticed that like a whole lot more where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to stress over something that I can't change. There's nothing that I can do about it at this point.
Yeah.
So let me just figure out what can I do from here to make it better.
Worrying doesn't solve anything.
Nope.
You can control what you can't control. You can't control what you can't. And worrying doesn't solve it one way or another.
Nope.
All it does is add stress and overthinking to your psyche and make the possibility of depression coming on even
That's
more.
it. And I feel like if you mess up, right? So in this business, you mess up a lot.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't
Well,
make the
yeah, speak for
same,
yourself.
as long as you don't make the same mistake twice, right? So you made a mistake, you learned from it. You'll never make that same mistake again.
Right.
I can guarantee you that. And as long as you put systems in place to make sure that you don't make that same mistake again, then it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, make it right, fix it, whatever you have to do to fix it, and move on. Don't dwell on it because it'll eat you alive.
Yeah.
You know, like there's been many of nights when I first started this business where I did not sleep. Like I was up late at night. I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning my like I'm like, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that right, and I have to do whatever. And I'm just like, and then it started to be, I don't drink.
Yeah.
It got to be where I was like, I need a cocktail because I need to sleep.
Oh yeah.
I can't sleep. And then it started to change who I was as a person. Like my who I am was changing. My morals, like drinking and whatnot. And I was like, oh. And then I like got a grasp on it. I was like, I can't let this happen.
Right.
Right. And so then I started changing my mindset and the way that I think. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be who I am. And if they don't like it, oh well, I
Yeah,
don't have to work with those people.
exactly.
And that's the beauty of this business. You don't have to work with anybody. You can refuse to work with someone
The power of saying no.
and say, you know what, I don't think that I'm the right agent for you. I think that you should find somebody else. And not everybody has the same personalities to work with each other, and that's okay.
Right.
And like I tell my clients when I meet with them for a buyer's consultation or whatever, and I'm like, in one of the steps is choosing your agent. And if I'm that person, that's great. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because at the end of this whole conversation, we're going to figure out whether or not we are made to work with each other. And if we're not, that's all right. No hard feelings. Because I'm not a person that's going to sugarcoat stuff.
No, as you shouldn't in this
And
industry. We're
but
dealing with some of people's biggest transactions of their life. There's no point in sugarcoating
I
anything.
agree, but some people, they don't want you to tell them the harsh truth. They don't want you to be hard. Like, I would rather you just not tell me or something, and I'm like, I'm not the agent for you. We're not the ones,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to tell you, like, do I think that you can buy a house right now with a 570 credit score? No.
Yeah.
Like, but I can get you with somebody that's going to help you get to that point,
Right.
But am I going to tell you, yeah, you can do it and lie to you? No,
No.
I'm not. I'm not the one.
Right. And when you fire a client that has been stressing you out for so long,
It feels so
it
good.
just feels like a weight is lifted off of your shoulders. Like, oh my God, I don't have to talk to that person ever again.
Oh,
Because there's, a lot of people treat us just like someone who's a bad person at a restaurant table would treat a bad server sometimes, right? Like I've been on the phone sometimes with some past clients where like they're like yelling at me, but not over anything that I've done, right? Just over like the
mm-hmm.
situation where like they have to,
Frustration.
yeah, they have to fix something they don't want to fix, or they have to give concessions where they don't want to because something's wrong with during the
Mm-hmm.
transaction. And they take their frustrations out on me because of the situation, but it's like, we also play that part. We also play the part of the shoulder
The
for people.
therapist.
Yes, the therapist.
We play a lot of roles.
And Melissa's laid next to me one night late at night. I'll never forget. And like this dude is just like laying into me, and she's just looking at me like,
Are you not going to say
right, are you
anything?
not going to say anything? And I just, trust me, I wanted to, but it's things like that where I just have to understand that he's not directing it at me. He's
Mm-hmm.
frustrated at the situation,
Right.
And also, if I would have said anything, like that was a big transaction. I think that was like a $25,000 commission. I'll bite my tongue off.
Right.
I'm not gonna
Right.
say anything that.
But in the same sense, though, I do believe in the you teach people how to treat you.
100%.
And so if you allow them to yell at you and treat you a certain way, they will continue to do
Yep.
it throughout because they know that they can. And I had somebody too where the couple, they were selling a house,
Hmm.
they were going through a divorce.
Okay.
Well, actually, they were already divorced. He had already moved on and moved in with another girlfriend. Like they've
Oh.
been split for years,
Oh, okay.
but the ex-wife was still living in the house and his name was on that house. And it got to be where he was saying, I want to get remarried and buy another house. So you now have to sell.
Yeah.
Right? He was forcing her to sell. And she reluctantly, they put it up for sale. So naturally, they didn't want to talk to each other.
Of course not.
They were going to talk to me about how much they hated each other. And it got to the point where we got under contract and it was a VA loan. And this little guy that was buying the house, it got to where they needed an extension. And the wife wouldn't sign the extension.
Oh.
And the husband did. The ex-husband, I say ex, he signed the extension. And I said, if she doesn't sign it, we don't have an extension and the contract is null and void. And he was like, well, she has to. I said, she doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
And if his lender can't get it done by this point, y'all have a problem.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to sue her and all this stuff. And I said, the buyer can walk. And he started yelling at me
Right.
and said, you're just out for the buyer. You're not looking at our best interest and all of this stuff. And I let him yell at me. And then he called me back. And I said, before you start talking, I said, I have to tell you something. You will not speak to me that way. I said, I have gone through the ringer between the both of you, trying to keep the peace between the two of you. And now you're going to yell at me after everything that I've ever done for you. I said, if anything, I've been on your side more than I've been your ex-wife's because I'm trying to get the house sold for the both of you.
Yeah.
And I said, so you will not talk to me that way. And if you want to talk to somebody like that, you can find another agent. Well, he hung up on me. About 20 minutes later, he called me back and he said, I'm sorry. I'm frustrated. I'm sorry. I know it's not your fault. You're completely right. I'm aggravated. I'm going to have to take her to court and all of this stuff. But it got to the point where I just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And I put him in his place. And then he had a eye-open awakening that he was like, wow, she's right, and in the end, fast forward, the poor little VA guy didn't buy the house, and we took it off of the market, and the ex-wife ended up getting a loan and bought out the ex-husband, and she still lives in that house till this day.
And the lesson of this story is everything happens the way it's going to happen. Everything is going to unfold how it should.
Yep.
And I bet you were super stressed out during that entire transaction, thinking, oh my God, this has to happen this way, this
Right?
has to happen this way. And so were they. But then everything is going to unfold as it should.
Everything
That was
works
all
out.
things that you couldn't control.
There was nothing that I could do. And funny story, they ended up moving back to Covington. They were in, him and the new wife were living in, I think it was like in Georgia somewhere, and they moved back to Covington. He called me to help me buy their house. So I sold them their new house when they came back, because at that point we had a rapport, But I mean, it just goes to show you, like, they really stressed me out. And that would have been one of the people where I'm like, I walk away and I don't ever have to talk to these people ever again, but it worked out. And after the discussion, I want to say, we had an understanding at that point,
Right.
And things were clear. And now I was like, yeah, I'll work with you again. Absolutely.
Right.
But not always.
No, not always. I mean, there comes that point. Everybody hits their breaking point, but there's also a gray area where you have to be like, okay, I see the end game. I just need to kind of swallow my pride and just like take this for now because we're really close here, right?
Right.
But then there's another time where you're like, okay, I don't have to take this at all, and there's a little bit of a fine line between being able to
And
do
I
that.
think that there's a way of saying things to people a certain way where you get your point across without being degrading or
tact. You have to be tactful with how you say
things.
Things.
Like, how can I say this without basically yelling back at them, right? Like, there's got to be something, a way to do this, but you still get your point across. Like, I do this with agents and coaching too, where they're like, well, I did this, and this already, and I'm still not getting any business. Okay, well, what else could you do? Not saying you should do this.
Right.
Make them think for themselves. Like, what else could you have done? What else could you have said that could change the way that conversation would have went?
Right.
Right. Like, and then the wheels start turning, and they're like, well, I guess I could have said this, or I guess I could have done this differently.
Right.
That's why when I have something under contract, let's just say, and there's a problem, I don't ever go to my clients with the problem before I have a solution first.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Never.
Or I'll solve the problem and then call and be like, hey, by the way, this just happened and I solved it.
Right. And so I had clients that were moving here from California. I had sold them their initial house. I had sold their house here. They moved to California and then they were moving back. Well, they didn't even look at the house. They sent some family to look at the house for
Oh,
them and
wow.
they videoed it
Hmm.
basically. And they ended up putting in a contract on the house without ever seeing it.
Okay. Of
And the other agent was out of the country for the majority of
course they
the
were.
contract during inspections and whatnot. And so he was like, you can just contact the seller directly to get all of the inspections done, whatever you asking for, repairs or whatever. So I ended up basically working
Doing their
both
job.
sides
Yeah.
because he was away. And things happened with the plumbing underneath the house and all of this stuff where it didn't get fixed properly and I had to get it refixed. My client knew nothing about what was going on. Like we did the initial response that she asked for, but all the problems in between, she knew nothing about it. Came in, she was like, "This was so easy. This was like the easiest trends. Like buying a house, I've been." And I was like, "You have no idea what happened on the back end." And as I started to tell her, this happened, this happened, this happened at the closing table, she was like, I'm glad that you didn't tell me that because I would have freaked out.
Right.
And I said, I know you would have, but I fixed it.
Hmm.
You knew nothing about it the whole time.
Yeah.
And according to her, it was like the easiest thing ever. Right.
Exactly.
So she don't ever have to know,
No, no. We put out fires. We're professional firefighters of problems. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you're a firefighter, you're a therapist, you're all the things. Like you
Yes.
wear many
Anyone
hats.
that says that all realtors do is open doors drives me crazy. Like, if I was just opening doors, I would not be as stressed as I am working, as many
100%.
transactions.
I agree. I agree. Like people just think it's so easy. And I'm like, and agents, I tell them, I'm like, you will make as much money or as little money as you put the effort into.
Yep.
It's completely up to you how much
Completely.
you make. And it's
Completely.
completely up to you how busy you are. And people get so busy but they're not doing anything that's going to bring in income.
Right.
Like
Like
you
they're working
get
on their website for 3 hours. Like, what is that?
but you're doing things that's not benefiting your business.
Exactly.
Like you are
Exactly.
running a business, you need to run a
That's
business.
right.
And like
This
it's
is a people to people business. Like, this is not a
100%.
person to internet business.
Yeah, you can't just be busy and think that you're actually doing something like
Right.
that's going to benefit you in the long
Exactly.
run because
Exactly.
that's not the case.
Exactly. If
Right.
if anybody's ever struggling with that, I highly recommend printing out something in humongous letters that says, "What did I do today to get business?" Question mark, and tack it up on your wall. So just occasionally, if you're doing that
Right?
busy work, you're
Walking
like, "Oh
by.
wait, I'm actually not doing something that is monetarily purposeful."
Yep. I mean, you and we're very similar. You have stuff around with little sayings, and I have stuff with sayings,
Mm-hmm.
and they had one that's like right across from my desk. It says, you can't deposit excuses.
It's true. You can't. You can
See?
have a victim mentality and live with a scarcity mindset, or you can have an abundance mindset and live in a life of positivity and take action and
Move forward.
fail forward.
Fail forward. Our bold coach right now, Dennis Russell, he says, what do I always say about real estate? And the whole room says, don't quit.
Yeah,
That's like the one thing that he says. Don't quit.
that's right.
No matter what happens, don't quit.
No.
Fail forward.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, you fix it, you move forward. Keep going. There's a reason why you started. Always go back to why did I start? Always go back to that and it'll keep putting you back into the mindset of where you need to be.
Yeah.
And when I first started this business, I had a whole talk with my mom and my son, and I said, I'm going to put about $3,000 into it between all your fees and paying for all the lock boxes,
That is literally the bare minimum that you need to start as a
all
real
the
estate agent.
things, right? So that's like paying for your license and NOMAR and MLS
Classes
and
and
classes and all the things and your post 45 and all the stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna put in about 3,000 3,500, whatever, just to start. That's not including signs because you don't need signs when you first start, right? But I was like, I have 1 year to sell one house. If I sell one house in that year, I will have made my money back and at least I can say I tried.
Yeah.
And I will have lost nothing
Right.
at that point. I will break even and walk away if it doesn't work. Right?
Right.
That's the way that I thought. And that's what I tell these agents. Sell one
Yeah.
and you will break even and at least you can say you tried.
But that's not a big enough goal.
No, I get it, but like people are like, I put so much money into it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
spend so much money. I don't have the money. And I'm like, well, what can you do to get that money?
Right.
Like you could do a couple of leases and it'll pay for your
Right.
license. It'll pay for that bill or
Exactly.
whatever.
Because what is the average commission now? 7?
Uh,
6,500?
Around here, we say 5,000, give or take,
Okay.
depending, because now, you got to ask for your commission. Some will pay 2 if you have the buyer paying the difference, yada, yada.
So the
it
average
just-
is like 5, I
Roughly.
guess. Just give or take.
roughly, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the average is 5. So even at 5, like you said, if you could just sell one house in a year, you're still paying for
All your
everything
fees
and then some.
and have some left.
But then you also will learn so much that now the goal should be sell one per month, because 5,000 a month is 60 grand a year.
Right.
So if you just focus on selling one house per month, then you're great. And then the next year, okay, I hit that goal. Now let's do 3 per month.
Mm-hmm.
And then boop, 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 boop.
Everybody always comes in and their goal is 100,000 a year.
Everyone.
Right? 100,000.
Right.
That is roughly 1.5 sales per month.
Right.
Give or take, depending if you're, the sales price is high or you get more of the commission, whatever. But it's 1.5 per month. That's so doable. It's so doable. And then when you put it into perspective like that, then people are like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like they just think it's so far out of reach until you chunk it down.
Well, that's because there's so many real estate agents in the city.
Right.
People have it in the back of their mind like, oh, there's thousands and thousands of real estate agents. How am I going to throw my ring in the hat and be successful at this? When in reality, there's plenty of houses to go around for everyone.
But your business is coming from your people and the people that you are calling, not everybody. There's way more than enough business in this area for you to be able to make it.
Yes, there is. And 95% of agents in the city aren't qualified to show a house, let alone sell one, is a firm opinion that I have about most people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis anyway.
So there was a saying, and I'm looking for it. Here it is. In 2024, 71% of real estate agents did 0 deals.
Whoa.
Out of the 29% left, half of those made less than $5,000 in 2024, which means they made less than 5 grand in the entire year.
Wow.
That's like
eye-opening.
Way eye-opening. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you said, these agents think that there's so many agents. There's so many agents. But 71% of those agents did nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Like it's there for the taking. You just have to do. You just have to take the action and be strategic and time block and dedicate your time and hold yourself accountable to do it, because this industry, I mean, it's changed my life completely, I also can't sit still, but like that's,
My life is completely different now, and I don't know if I could ever go back to a job where I had a boss.
Every entrepreneurial person I've had on this podcast has said the same thing. Same thing.
Really?
I just don't know. At this point, I can't go back. You can't.
I couldn't do it. It's like I don't think I could go back to people telling me when what I can do with my time.
Yeah. All it would take would be one person to micromanage me the wrong way. I'd be like, bye.
I'm
going back to doing what I was doing.
Right.
No, thanks.
So look, there was another thing that he told us too, which is eye-opening. When you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your choices.
That's deep.
Right? Like when you go in the end of it all, you are uh, you are the you are the object of your choices.
Yeah.
So like whatever choices that you make right now, in the end, what are people going to remember you by?
Right.
And like for me, I thought, I think a lot, not a lot, but like it crosses my mind. Like when I leave this earth, what are people going to remember me by? Right? Like I want to leave a legacy to where people talk to my son and say, your mom did this for me, kind of thing. Like this is how I remember your mom.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't want people to be like, I'm just forgettable, like,
Right.
or like years go by and then nobody talks about me anymore, like that. I and I know that's morbid, like to think about stuff like that, but I've had people die on me and very close to me, and I'm like, what's going to happen when I die? Like I put things in place. I've wrote a will. Like I've done all kinds of stuff now since then where I'm making sure that I'm leaving behind a legacy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like people here will remember me.
Yeah.
Like whether I'm still here or not, they're going to talk about me at some point. Like, oh, she helped me get to my business where I am, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, oh, I remember when I first started, Jamie did this, and that's what I want.
Right.
And like, I don't need the notoriety, like it's not about that. It's about how somebody feels.
How you impacted that person and their family.
Right. Like how somebody feels about me, like when they think of, like that's you ever post, you should do this because he told us to do this in bold and it's very eye-opening. Post on your Facebook page. What do you think of when you think of me? And look at the comments of what you would be shocked because the people at our table, they were like, I don't want to post this. What if somebody like comment something like mean? I'm like, nobody will comment anything mean. If they're your friend on Facebook, they're not going to say anything mean.
Or they may. My friends are brutal. My friends my friends would, if I posted something like that, it would only be negative things, just out of spite.
Or like, I remember this one time when you made a fool out of yourself,
Mhm.
or whatever. But the comments, like some of it, I was like, man, I don't even remember that.
Right.
You remember that, But doing that is very eye opening of what people think of when they think of you. So you should do that.
All right, so you wear a lot of hats as both a realtor and a coach. What would you say is the biggest mindset hurdle that someone has to get over in order to break through and actually get out of their own way?
You can do it. Like, just do it.
Limiting beliefs, you mean?
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and I think people compare their insides to other people's outsides way too much, where they're like, oh, well, I started 6 months ago and they're only a month in and they have their first deal. You have no idea what is going on
Right.
in their life as opposed to your life. This person could be, this is the only thing that they're doing. They don't have another job and they already had a family member that's an investor, and that investor is now wanting to use them. You have another job. You can't focus 24 hours a day on real estate the way this person is. You
Right.
might not have an invest. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else.
Well, in comparison is the thief of joy anyway.
If you do that, it will bring you down.
It will. It will.
100%.
It will.
Always. So it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Focus on yourself.
That's right.
And uh, your your beliefs of like, oh, I can't do this, or I don't know if I can do this. Okay, what are you good at? And figure out, okay, whatever. Like I play pickleball all the time, let's just say, right? Well, you play pickleball with a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same people over and over again. So why don't you focus building your business around pickleball? Have a pickleball challenge. Invite all of these people and you be the sponsor of it because you're the real estate agent. Hey, Jamie Johnson Realty is sponsoring this pickleball challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody's invited, right? So like,
And when you sponsor something, you really just bring snacks. Like,
let's be real,
right?
right?
Yeah, like you're
Exactly.
sponsoring, you're just bringing some snacks. So it's not going to cost you a lot to sponsor something like
Right.
that if you're doing it all the time
And you
anyway.
just go to the place and be like, hey, I need 3 quarts or
Yeah.
whatever for the next 3 hours,
Hmm.
whatever it may be,
Yep.
Or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. What if you run marathons or whatever and you want to schedule some sort of run, like you be the sponsor for that. Like there's a way of, and it doesn't all have to be like active stuff, y'all. I'm just saying. But I mean, like anything that you do, you can take what you love to do and whatever habits that you have and revolve it around real estate, and you be that person of real estate, anything questions to that group of people. And you can build your business around that. So you don't have to, people are like, I don't want to advertise myself because I don't know. Right. And I don't want people to ask me questions that I don't know how to answer. And so I'm like, okay. So you never say, I don't know.
No.
You always say, that's a great question. I'll find out the answer. And then you go in the bathroom and you call me and I'll tell you the answer. And then you can have a conversation. Right. So there was somebody, I forgot who it was, might have been one of the bull coaches, where they were like, anybody ever ask you how the real estate market's doing? It's unbelievable. It could be bad. It could be great. It could be whatever. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the same answer no matter what it is. It's unbelievable. It is what it is, right? So like just never, never, you don't know what you don't know, but there's always been a job or school or whatever where you're there because you need to learn.
Yep.
And eventually you learn and you become the best at, like when I worked in restaurants, started as a server, then I became the head trainer. Then I trained all of the agents. Then I became another place. I became a captain instead of a front weight, right? But you always have to start somewhere.
And through your experience, you gain more knowledge anyway, rather than just like causing yourself paralysis by just looking up stuff all the
And
time.
all of that
Throw
stuff
yourself to
that
the
you learn
wolves.
in real estate school,
It's irrelevant.
it's irrelevant. And there's a meme, I don't know if you saw it, but it was funny. It was like, I've been a real estate agent for 20 years and nobody ever asked me how much square footage was in an acre.
Oh, you mean 43,560?
Right.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever asked me that. But that was a question on the test, But I always tell people just learn it enough to pass the test and you'll never use it again, because all of those things that they make you learn, that's where you have title companies for. That's why you have lenders. That's why you have like all of these other people that do that's why you have surveyors. That's why you have all of these other people that do that stuff for you. You hire other people to do that.
That's
Yes,
right.
it's good to know, but you don't have to know all of that.
Right. You have resources to find the answers. As long as you don't tell someone an obvious answer that you don't know, just say, I'll
Right.
find out.
I'll find out. That's a great question. I'll find out. And then that's your chance. Hey, when I get the answer, what's your phone number? What's your email address? Let me send it to you.
Yeah.
Right? I'll send you some information on that. And that's your way of putting them in your database.
Yeah.
Always think higher. But the people that they have these beliefs where like, I won't be able to answer the question and I'll feel stupid. Whatever. But it's not you feeling stupid. That's just you don't know. And still till this day, every transaction is different. You know that. No two transactions are the same.
No.
You'll always run into something that you've never dealt with before. This industry is always changing. We have new rules, we have new laws, we have new paperwork that we have to learn. I mean,
the higher ups are always constantly attacking our profession. There's always new things that are coming in that we have to work around.
so you'll have to flip and switch it up and learn new stuff. And that's just the nature of the beast. So just because you've been in this business, these agents, well, I've been in this business for 30 years. Well, good for you, right? But that doesn't mean that they know everything. In fact, a lot of those people still operate
Like they did 30 years ago.
like they did
Oh
30
yeah. Oh,
years
you've been in this
ago.
industry 30 years? Oh, well, I can still run circles around you in my sleep.
And they still, and being that they've been 30 years, they're probably not technology inclined. Not saying that they are or they aren't, but a lot of the older agents that have been in the business for a while, they don't do what the younger agents that are just starting are doing. They're not doing all of these reels and all of these Instagram and Facebook and all of these posts
Well,
and
no, because
stuff
it'll
like
take a
that.
young kid 20 minutes to do that, and it'll take an older person 20 hours.
Because the generation, they're learning different stuff in school.
Yeah,
And so they're being taught different ways of doing things in school
for
before they
sure.
even get out of high school. They're learning that stuff. Whereas me, like, if I do a reel, it's just basic, right? Like, no, none of that cap cut editing and all of this stuff. So I know people that are older than me are going to be even less technically inclined,
Yeah.
So, but use what you know and what you're good at and figure out how can I make that real estate.
Well, that also plays to your authenticity as a person because people can see a mile away if you're being fake or not, right?
Yes.
So if you use what you're passionate about and what your hobbies are and stuff like that to your advantage for your career, whether it's real estate or any other type of entrepreneurial business, then those people are going to understand and really resonate with that with you because you believe it and you're passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it also helps play into eliminating a little bit of that imposter syndrome because yes, I'm starting this new career, this new business, doing this, and I have to promote that even though I don't have a ton of experience in this yet. But in playing to your hobbies and your passions and stuff, it helps eliminate a lot of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And I had an agent the other day. She was like, somebody, he wants to use me for getting a lease and stuff, and I don't know what to do. And she said, and it's a good thing that I know him. And I told him you would be my first deal. And he was like, I wouldn't see that from what you're posting. Like, I thought that you knew all the things
Right.
because of what you're posting. So, I mean, there are things that you can post without giving statistics and things like that and it being wrong.
For sure.
People always want to do business with somebody that they think is successful. So you can post things and advertise other people's listings and whatnot that give you permission to do so, but they never have to know that you've never done a deal. They don't need to know that. All they need to know is that you can get the job done,
Right.
right? And you always have to start somewhere. That's like when I first got out of college, I had 2 degrees, but I had no experience.
Right.
Somebody will hire you over experience than they will with a degree over any day.
Well, most of the job applications and the offerings and stuff that you see says minimum of X years experience, And I think in this industry it's funny because you can totally BS your way through that
That's right.
and you don't need to have the experience, but it's how confident you are and how you carry yourself that makes people think that you do have that experience,
Yep.
right?
And the agents that are in coaching here, they don't need that experience. Why? Because they have me.
Yeah,
And I can help them through that entire process from start to finish where the client on the other end, seller, buyer, tenant, landlord, whatever, they will never know.
never.
They'll never know, and that's a way that the agent learns as well through that whole process.
Yeah,
Like, okay, they said this, then you need to do this, or this happened in the inspection report. Like, I reviewed an inspection report for an agent the other night, and I'm like, this, and this is going to be problems for your loan approval. You have to ask for this.
right.
whereas they wouldn't know.
No.
But they can go back and tell the
And they
client
also don't know how to type the correct verbiage, and they also don't know
how to specifically
exactly right,
ask for
But
things.
once you do it one time and you have that saved on your
Copy.
desktop, then you can be like, okay, this is exactly how that was done. Like no one should ever be intimidated in this industry by writing a contract ever,
No.
because all you need to do is do it one time. And then you can even create a template for yourself
Yep.
to where it's all the basics are filled in.
Most of them the same blanks every single time. Like
Exactly.
I can
And
write a contract in 5 minutes,
of course,
literally.
everyone may have something specific, but then that's why you have people like Bill Cooper. That's why you have people like you,
Yep.
and I'm available too, and Lucy's available, and people in our office are just always available to help work out the verbiage or the right way that you need to say something in order to do it correctly. And that's just something that is just irreplaceable to me. That what our company offers.
The contracts that I've received in the past from some other agents, and one of them was a broker, and I was like, I had to fill in all of these blanks, and I like one of them didn't even put a closing date on the contract. I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, let me help you out, But I feel bad for some of these people where I'm like, that's the one thing real estate school doesn't teach you is how to write a contract.
Right.
They just throw you to the wolves and say, here you go. Like, good luck.
I mean, and when you get those contracts, you immediately know, how much
Training.
training that person's had, number one, but at the same time, you just feel bad for their clients because, like, wow, that person is just super underrepresented by this person.
And I'm like, you didn't even ask for, like, because they say, appliances to stay. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm very specific.
Yeah,
All existing kitchen appliances to remain, including these, such and such, all to be in working order at the time of the sale. Because just because they stay doesn't mean that they're going to be working.
that's
You
right.
didn't ask them to be
That's
working. You
right.
just asked them to
Leave
stay.
no gray areas in contracts.
Like, always ask yourself, how can I end up in court?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how can I end up in court because of what I'm
How
writing?
do I word this to where I don't
How
get sued?
how
Okay.
specific do I have to be? Especially in inspection responses, too.
Well, yeah,
You
and
know,
in one of the last videos or one of the last podcasts I just did, I was talking about how I think more than 50% of the deal is inspections,
100%.
especially in New Orleans, where every house is hundreds of years old.
And they'll fall apart.
They will.
If it like I don't know what the percentage is, but if the deal's gonna fall through, it's typically gonna fall through between the first 10 and 14 days.
Exactly
That
right.
inspection period. That's when
Exactly
it's
right.
gonna fall through.
Exactly right. Because you are already partnered with good lenders. So you already know the lenders are going to hold up their end of the deal if you've already gotten to where you're under contract with people.
Right?
So that should be irrelevant. You've
Right?
already gotten the accepted offer and the accepted terms in the initial contract. So that's already done.
Right?
So the only issue in between A and B is inspections.
That's right.
And that's always the ones that crumble the deal or anything. And so if you don't know how to negotiate through your inspections, as an agent, you are in for a rude awakening because that is going to be the majority of why your deals fall apart.
100%. 100%. And that it's crazy because, doing Mississippi now, they, even though it's a reciprocal state, their contracts and such and their processes are way different. So Mississippi, the inspector goes to the house and does the inspections by themselves. For a buyer's agent to show up to an inspection is like rare.
Huh.
I'm like, what? I will always be at my inspections,
Yeah,
no matter what.
100%.
Like, but they have lockbox keys and they'll go in themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're coming? Like, yeah.
Well, that's why I use HDMK because they all have their real estate license. So it's like, oh, I'm actually going to be a little late today. No problem. They'll open up the lockbox and get in.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I do attend every single one of them because I want to know. And
Absolutely.
all the inspectors I use all the time. So I'm on a good relationship basis with
Right.
them. So they just give it to me straight on certain situations.
Right. But here, it's like if an agent isn't there during an inspection, the listing agent's like, what do you mean you let
Right.
the inspector in by themselves? You're
Right.
not there,
Right.
But in Mississippi, it's a totally different situation. It's crazy,
Louisiana is such an enigma.
right? We're just different though. All of our processes are different from the rest of the US. Like
Yeah.
our process is different.
So if one agent, after building the foundation of their business, could dedicate their time to doing one money making activity, what money making activity would that be? I mean, I already know the answer to the
Lead
question. I'm going to
generation.
answer. Lead generation is the answer. But what types of lead generation?
It depends on what's best for them, what works best for them. Because some people, they don't like to talk, they're not good on the phone, but yet they can message and text like nobody's business, right? So
Which used to
then,
be a big no-no, but you can't avoid it now.
yeah, but, and then like, not to mention names in this office, but somebody just reached 7,000 followers on Instagram yesterday or today. So, I mean, at that point, what do you think their lead generation would be?
100%. 100%.
Right. So it just depends on what your best form of communication is, and then utilize it to the greatest extent that you possibly can. Use it as a platform and do it from there. I mean, look at, Diana Kokoska, her little red wagon. She brought her kid like around and knocked on doors. Like, she knocked on doors
Yep.
to make sure that she could get her name out there, because back in the day they didn't have cell phones and such, right? So you become your neighborhood expert. You could do it just your neighborhood, right? And focus on your neighborhood. And then those people refer you out to other people. As long as you do a good job and you work with high integrity, people will always come back to you and they will refer business to you.
For
And that's
sure.
the way you build your business. So it just depends on that person, I would say, as to how they lead generate
Yeah.
and what's the best form of lead generation for that person. If you love TikTok, use TikTok. If you have a high following on there, then it's going to bring you business
Right.
if you utilize it the right way.
Right. Play to your strengths.
Exactly. Like I was saying, the pickleball, running, if you belong to your kids' uh, parent teacher, was it like the
Parent association.
parents
Yeah, for the
association or
school.
whatever it is, use that.
Right.
If you have another job and your job is like, let's say at a hospital, hello, you work with a bunch of doctors and nurses, and like those people need real estate too. Those people are going to be buying and selling or renting or whatever at some point. So why not utilize that to the best of your
You can
advantage?
always weave in real estate into any conversation. Always.
Always. Always. Like, people ask me all the time, you go into a place, a business, right? You can be anywhere, doesn't matter where you are. Somebody always says, what first thing that you walk into a business, can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I help you with anything? Right?
Right.
They always ask you that. My response is always the same, no matter what store I'm in. I'm a real estate agent and I'm always looking for closing gifts for my clients. Doesn't matter what store I'm in. I could be in Walmart, Home Depot,
Mm-hmm.
a clothing store. Doesn't matter what it is. My answer is always the same.
Right.
And that opens up the conversation for real estate. Like, somebody in bowl class, I remember back in the day, they said that they wore their name tag to return something at JCPenney's. They got 4 deals out of that because they had a name tag on. And the lady behind the set was like, oh, you work for Keller Williams? Oh, I'm looking to buy a house. My mom's trying to sell her house.
Boom.
Hello. Right?
Yeah.
And then they referred to 2 other people and they got 4 deals from wearing a name tag and returning something. Limiting beliefs. Don't think that it can't happen.
Right.
It can happen.
Right.
But if you don't say anything, nobody will know.
No.
You have to put yourself out there.
You have to live the life that you want to have. You can't just walk around, having these credentials and expect things to just fall into your lap. Because, yeah, it does happen occasionally. But like you said, the more that you put in is the more you're going to get out. Now, it may not be next week, but whatever you're putting in today is going to come back.
But if you are failing, quote unquote, it's nobody else's fault but your own.
Yeah. Pivot. Don't do the same thing if it ain't working. Figure
It's
something
all
else out.
it's your fault and your fault alone. And I think in this business, that's a lot. Some people's problems is that they want to place blame. They want to like,
Victim mentality.
oh well, I'm not getting any leads. You're not giving me leads.
I'm not
It's
getting any
it's
leads.
not it's not my job to do that.
No.
My job is to show you
How to
how
get
to
your
get leads
own
for your
leads.
own self.
Correct.
How, because even if I am giving you leads now, when you're out of coaching in 2 years from now, what's going to happen?
Right.
I'm not, you need to learn how to, you grow your own successful business, right? So I'm putting things in place for you to be able to do that for yourself.
100%.
You can't place blame on somebody else for you not being successful. This
Right.
business, if you're unsuccessful, it's your own fault.
Yep.
And you have to take accountability for that.
Yep.
And can't blame somebody else for not doing that.
No.
Like that's you. It's on you. It's not like I said, it's not like you working for somebody else where somebody else is going to like do all of this
And if
for
you're
you
not getting the
and hand it to
support,
you on a silver platter.
then find another place that will give you that support. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we said at the beginning, every brokerage is not equal. So if you're not getting what
Correct.
you need from one brokerage, go and shop around and find one that will.
Yeah.
Because if you sit in there and you're just beating your head against the wall at one place and all you're doing is failing and you're not getting any support, you're like seeing yourself tanking, like pivot and do something different.
Well, we always say to going back to, if it's not working, change it up. So you should try something for 3 months, 3 to 6 months, right? So if you're going to pay for leads from realtor.com, or you going to do some sort of lead generation, you're paying for whatever, you do it for 3 to 6 months. If you are not getting back your rate of investment in return, stop.
Right.
Stop giving them the money because you're not getting that money back.
Right.
Use that money, put it towards something else. Try that for another 3 to 6 months. See how that works.
For sure.
You have to give it time to see if it'll work.
Right.
And see if it'll come to fruition. But if it's not working, cut your losses and move on fast.
Yeah.
And then try something different. Everything is 90 days. So let's just say you have a buyer and they like, oh, I want to buy a house. Okay. Well, for the first 30 days, they could be working on their credit. They might need to save money. They might need to, get something, whatever it may be. They have to pay off a bill. The lender tells them, oh, you got to pay this down, whatever. It might take them 30 days to do that. Then you start showing them houses. It might take them 30 days to find a house. Then by the time they get under contract, it takes another 30 days to go to sale. So from the time you start working with them till the time that you see your fruits of your labor come to fruition, it's 90 days.
Right.
Same goes for a seller. Seller says, oh, I want to sell my house. You go, you look at the house and you tell them, you need to declutter. You need to take these things off the wall. You need to fix this. You need to fix this mold or peeling paint or paint over this or whatever. Then you list it. 30 days go by, then you get under contract. It could be longer than that. We all know in the market that we're in right now. But then it takes another 30 days to go to sale. That's at least 90 days. So like what you do now, if you're making the calls now, that's why people see this, right?
Yeah.
They see, oh, I made all of these calls for like 2 months straight and now I have all of this business. But while I'm in the business, I'm too busy
Right.
getting caught up in the current contracts and whatnot.
Working in the
and
business
I'm
instead
not
of on the
calling for
business.
future business.
Yes.
So now all of these contracts have gone to a stale and you have all of this money, but now you have nothing new
Right.
because you didn't make the calls
Exactly.
during those 3 months.
Yep. And I had to learn that the hard way too. It took a while, but learning to dedicate the time to mornings are always lead generation, afternoons are always appointments. Because if you stick with that plan, then you always have your lead generation time.
Yep.
And you learn how to adapt and curb your lead generation techniques and everything to where when you find out, like you said, over time what works, then that's where you're putting your eggs and that works.
Yep.
And you're doing that every single morning for a minimum 2 hours. And then that roller coaster is distant because you're always doing the important things and you always have your afternoons that are open to do what you need to do. Yeah, sometimes you're going to have to go to somebody's house after work times,
It
but,
happens.
you know,
It is what it
yeah,
is. I mean, if you became a realtor, you have already agreed to the fact that you will be working nights, weekends, whenever that person is available,
being a
whoever your
realtor is
client
just
is at
being
that
on
time.
call 24 hours a day. But, you know, if you're answering text messages at 10 p.m., people feel like it's okay for them to text you at 10 p.m., right? You teach the other
You
people how to
teach
treat
people how
you.
to treat you,
So, you know, you have to set a time to cut it off.
right?
And, you know, I'd recommend whenever you set your business up on Google, that's where you set your times and that's what you stick to.
Your hours,
Yep.
yeah. And I tell people, now the only time I am talking to somebody really late at night to get it done, besides other agents,
Yeah.
because I'll answer agents'
Yeah, I will
calls
too.
until 10 o'clock at night. But as far as clients go, if I have to get an inspection response in by midnight on that night, like, I'm making sure that I do it
Right.
because it's a deadline,
Yeah,
and I got to get it done.
for sure.
So if it's something like that, or I have to respond to a contract by a certain time or whatever, that's a different story. But otherwise, after 8 o'clock or so, I'm with family.
Yeah,
Like, that's my family time. Now,
exactly.
don't get me wrong. When I first started,
Oh, yeah.
I was at dinner in restaurants and I would excuse myself from the table to answer a call, and all the time.
I get mad when an agent stopped texting me at midnight. Be like, why isn't this person texting me back?
And, and my son being, he was younger, he would be like, Mom, we're at dinner. What are you doing?
Right,
We're at dinner.
right.
Like, can't it wait until tomorrow? And like, when your kid starts asking you that, it's like, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I can't do this, And you'll start to realize, like, priorities. What's more important, right? Like, yeah, business is important, but Keller Williams, God, family, then business.
right,
Your family always comes before your business. Like, you don't want to go to the grave and them saying, well, she never spent any time
right,
with family because she was always working.
right.
All you do is work. You work to pay for bills to live in a house that you're never at.
Yeah,
Right? Like, you're paying for a house that you're never in because you're working so much just to pay for the bills. Like, why?
yeah.
Like,
Because we're all slaves to the system.
right?
I mean, you know,
House
we're
broke.
food, water, shelter, and those are the three things humans need just to survive. And but all three of those things are so expensive that that's why we work to pay for those things to keep us alive. And that is the reality of these of humanity.
Of the times that we're living in.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, looking ahead in 3 to 5 years, where do you see the biggest shift happening in the real estate industry, and how do you think that agents should start acting now to prepare for the future?
I think that the insurance is a big problem right now. Um, if we keep having hurricanes the way that we're having, business, the insurance company business, they're not going to come back and start writing in Louisiana. And so the insurance right now is levelizing. It's not going up, but it ain't going down so good, right? So I think that hopefully will start to change, and get better as the weather progresses, but we can't control the weather.
Nope.
So we have no idea what's going to happen with that.
Well, the
But
government can control the weather. They just don't let. They just don't do it.
that's true.
Okay, they definitely can.
But with that being said, I think the interest rates are going down, so that's going to be better for everybody. But the generation that is just starting to come out to buy, so the people that are graduating from college in those years, right? So several years ago, back when we had pandemic and all the interest rates went down to 3%, now being at 6.5 ish, they're like, oh, it's so expensive because they weren't paying attention
Right.
to the interest rates prior to that because they were too young, right? So when they just started to pay attention is when we were in that low part of interest. And now that it's going up, people think it's so expensive when really, if you looked at the trend of the interest rates, we're back down overall, like back in the day, like way back 60s, 50s, it was like in this 12, 13%
Exactly.
tile.
Yes.
We are actually low and they're not seeing that. So I think in the future, like 2 to 3 years after it stays this way for a while, then it'll start to become the norm and you'll see more of the generation start to get off of their seats and start to buy. Whereas right now, they're quote unquote holding out because they think that it's going to go down
Right.
back to three,
Not
and it's
happening.
not. It won't ever unless we have another pandemic or something crazy happens
Even if the
in
rates go back
government.
down to 5, it's going to be a buying frenzy.
Right. But I think, I mean, I think it'll go down just a little bit more than it is right now, but not enough to warrant waiting.
Right.
I mean, unless it's a whole point difference, you shouldn't refinance because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see it going down a whole nother point, like extra
Right.
than where it's at right now. You might go down a quarter, a half, you know, but I think in 2 to 3 years, you're going to see this generation that's just coming to be old enough to be able to purchase, they're going to start getting off the fence and they're going to start purchasing because they're going to see that the interest rates have leveled
So
and they're
so
not
what should
going way
people
low.
do in order to prepare themselves and put the right systems in place in order to be able to reach that generation?
Make sure your credit is good. Make sure you're building your credit. If you don't have any right now in that generation, it's like you're just getting credit card, you're just getting a car in your name, if you're just getting, insurance, things in your name because you're just graduating and things, get a secured credit card. If you can't get a regular one, get a secured credit card from your bank. That's when they give you, you pay them 500, they might give you 250 in credit back. Use it to put gas in your car. Build your credit, but don't get so out of control where you have so many credit cards and they're all at their
It's
limits.
very easy to let it get away from you.
100%. I've done it.
Same.
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I've done it.
Yeah.
Um, but if you build your credit the right way and you have at least 2 to 3 revolving trade lines, that will put you in a good position for you to be able to get a mortgage in 2 to 3 years. Your credit should be excellent, at that point in time. If you plan to put down a down payment, start saving. Put aside some money from whatever job that you have, little by little. It doesn't have to be a lot. Right now, we have a lot of government funded 100% financing, down payment assistance programs and whatnot that people could get as long as they have the credit score and they're looking in the right spot and debt to income ratios work. But those two things in general, and then keep an eye on the market because when you were saying, going down that low, back then, all of those people that purchased at that 3%, they overpaid
Every one of them.
for their houses. So if you can see things, they'll post memes on Facebook and say, this price house for this percent. So like 500,000 at 6% or 600,000 at 5%, and they'll show you the monthly note and it could be very similar.
Right.
But you overpaid for the house. And so now people that are trying to sell those houses that they purchased at a 3%, their house is not worth that
No, they're taking a
because
loss.
they were competing at that point. They were competing against 3 or 4 other, 5, 6 other offers,
Right.
and they overbid because they wanted the house. So they were offering 15,000 over asking, 20,000 over asking, or whatever. And now they're trying to sell and they're upside down.
Yep.
Or they might just break even.
Right.
It takes 7 years typically for you to level out and to where you're not just paying interest.
Right.
So for the first 7 years of you paying a mortgage, you're paying more interest than you are to your principal. So if you're selling before those 7 years are up, you could be very close to being upside down or just breaking even
Right.
to walk away with nothing.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead. Wait until they go back down to 4%, 3%, and then you overpay, and you bought a house just because you could.
And I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you bought a house for, let's just say, $500,000, and you did not do one thing to that house, and you need to relist your house in 3 years, your house is not worth $600,000. Okay, like that's not how it works. Like
That's not how it
not
works.
how it works.
No,
Okay, so
no, no. And you've done nothing to it,
right,
not even paint.
right. Right. Like equity alone is not going to get you an extra $100,000 and even
No,
in half a decade. So,
no. Unless it's some crazy thing that happens, like for instance when they put in the university hospital and the new VA hospital,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything in that neighborhood, like that was the ghetto back in the day. I worked off a 2 lane in South Salcedo. I used to watch hookers get picked up on the corner, right? But now that those hospitals have moved in and built that entire neighborhood, all of those houses have skyrocketed
Yeah.
in value, right? So what you're saying is correct, 100%, unless something
Right.
random
Right.
happens in that sense where they build something crazy and it's going to make all the values of everything go
Well,
up.
that's what they all thought was going to happen in Gentilly because there was supposedly a huge grocery store that was supposed to go up in Gentilly where there wasn't one and the property values, but this was like 5 years ago.
Right, but
And
look
they've,
at what happened though. Look at what happened in Gentilly. You had all of these investors that are like, yes, Gentilly's popping. We're going to buy all of this land. We're going to build all of these new construction
yep.
houses. And what happened? Now there's so much on the market that these investors that built all of these new construction houses can't sell them
Nope.
because there are too many on the market.
Yep.
They were behind the 8 ball on the market.
Yep.
Instead of being when it was happening, they did it at the time, they did it after the fact.
Yep.
And then that's when the interest rates went back up and then they couldn't sell them anymore.
Yep. It's unfortunate. It's like buying at the peak of the stock market. And then all of
Right?
a sudden it goes
And then
down.
it
And you're
goes
like,
down
well, shot myself in the foot.
and you just
I was too
lost.
late. hmm
Right.
So for people who want to check you out, where can they find you?
Here.
Here.
Here. Keller Williams.
hmm
Phone 504-723-7213. If you have questions about real estate, contact either Danny or I. Both of us are willing to answer any questions.
Yes.
If you're trying to get into the business, we'll be brutally honest with you no matter what. So yeah, just contact us. I'm happy to answer anybody's questions. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter on whether you're with another company, whether you're trying to get into the business, whether you even need recommendations for somebody that does fencing or, cutting grass or whatever.
Right.
We, all of us are everything real estate. So it doesn't matter what your needs are. We're here.
Right. Right. And like she said, if anybody out there is working at a current brokerage where they feel like they're not getting the support that they need and they need a change of scenery or maybe some outside of the box ideas in order to jumpstart where they are, like this place is pretty great for that.
Yeah.
You don't ever have anybody looking over your shoulder trying to micromanage you. And I take a lot of risks. Some of them pay off, some of them don't. But I do. I take a lot of risks, and I have never once had anybody be like, "Why'd you take that risk?" Because you don't have anybody over your shoulder. Everybody wants you to be successful in the way that you want to be successful.
Start thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Think out of the box. Don't think like everybody else is thinking. Be unique to yourself. Do what works for you, and we can help you get there. Like if you say, I'm good at this. Okay. let's do that.
Yep.
Let's figure it out. How can we make that work to your advantage? We're here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jamie, thank you for coming. And
Thanks
I
for
love
having
you
me.
more than anything.
Love you.
And yeah, catch you on the flip side.
Always.
All right.